Liberal presenter causes controversy and ends up fired after shocking speeches about Caroline Leavitt. Imagine a debate so explosive that, in a matter of hours, it turns a TV veteran into a former host. That's exactly what happened when Caroline Levitt faced off against one of the most powerful names in television live. No cuts, no editing, just sharp words and a twist that no one saw coming. What exactly was said? Why did it cause such a big impact? And, most importantly, was it justice or censorship? Stay until the end to understand every detail of this historic moment. If you like stories that make you think, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos. When Caroline Levitt agreed to participate in the program, Punto de Vista Matinal, she expected an intense debate. What she didn't expect was such an explosive moment that would bring down one of the most famous hosts on television overnight. Live, without edits or cuts, the clash took place in front of millions of viewers. On the other side of the table was Jonathan Reed, a television veteran known for his aggressive approach and sharp opinions. He was not just a mediator but a fighter who always sought to win. However, this time the battle would take an unexpected turn. The clash between Caroline Leavitt and Jonathan Reed began like any other political debate, tense but within the bounds of normality. Reed, with his confident tone and sharp gaze, tried to paint Caroline as someone who exaggerated when talking about media bias. For him, mainstream media outlets did not distort reality, they merely corrected misinformation. But Caroline was undeterred. With numbers, examples, and sharp reasoning, she exposed concrete cases where the media omitted important details or led biased narratives. Up until that moment, it was just another heated debate on TV. But then Reed did something unexpected. He didn't just disagree with Caroline, he attacked her. His tone changed. His body leaned forward and he uttered the phrase that would change everything. "People like you are the reason this country is going backwards." Silence. Not only in the studio but also among the millions watching at home. Caroline was unfazed. Instead of reacting with indignation, she did something much more powerful. She let the weight of those words fall upon him. "Could you clarify what you mean by, people like you?" she asked, her voice calm but loaded with meaning. At that moment, Reed realized he had made a grave mistake. But instead of backing down, he doubled down. Trying to correct himself, he said hastily, "I'm talking about conservatives who spend more time complaining than contributing to society." But the damage was done. Here's the thing that many miss. Regardless of the original intent, some statements simply can't be taken back. And let's be honest, Reed seemed more concerned with winning the argument than making his point fairly. His comment came across as arrogant, condescending, and, to many, revealed a disdain for people who didn't think like he did. Caroline sensed this, and once again she didn't need to raise her voice or get worked up. She simply asked one final question, leaving the audience to ponder. "So, just to clarify, are you saying that conservatives don't contribute to society?" Reed's silence was louder than any answer. And that was the moment he lost control of the narrative. The moment that changed everything. Trying to correct himself, Reed hurriedly said, "I'm talking about conservatives who spend more time complaining than contributing to society." But the damage had already been done. The silence in the studio was suffocating. Caroline just smiled, letting his words echo in the air. It was one of those moments where less is more. She didn't need to respond with long sentences or indignant responses. Reed's own comment had already planted doubt in the audience. Did he really believe that, or was he just revealing a deep-rooted prejudice? And then the inevitable happened. The internet exploded. A 15-second clip of Reed's statement went viral without any context. At first, it was just a short clip circulating on Twitter, but soon an avalanche of reactions came. Hashtags like #4Reed and #CarolineExpoEverdade shot up in the trending topics. Many demanded that the network take action. But here's an interesting point. Reed's defenders tried to argue that everything was taken out of context. They insisted that if people watched the entire debate, they would understand that Reed was only criticizing certain sectors of the right and not generalizing. The problem? Watching the entire debate only made things worse for him. If in the short clip he only seemed to have chosen his words poorly, in the full context, his arrogant and condescending posture became even more evident. And, let's be honest, in times of fast internet, what matters is not the intention but the perception. The audience had already formed their opinion. The pressure was becoming unbearable. Within hours, sponsors of the show began to pull out of the network. Companies don't want to associate their brands with controversies like this. And with that, Reed's fate was sealed. Sunrise Network management panicked. Sponsors, fearing the negative impact on their brands, began pulling out, forcing the network to act quickly. The first step was a vague statement: Jonathan Reed is suspended indefinitely while we conduct an internal review. But by that point, no one believed he would return. Pressure was mounting from all sides. Journalists analyzed every detail of the debate, influencers commented on the case non-stop, and even former colleagues of Reed began to distance themselves publicly. Within the network, many employees had long seen Reed as a problem. His aggressive style, once considered his trademark, now seemed outdated in a scenario where public opinion carries more weight than ever. Less than 24 hours later, the inevitable announcement came: Reed was officially fired. For a professional with decades of experience, being dismissed like this was a shock. But the truth is that, in the world of media, no one is untouchable. The public is the real boss, and the internet can make or break careers in a matter of hours. Now, here comes an interesting point. Was this a victory for justice or a classic case of cancel culture? On the one hand, Reed said something that, for many, revealed a hidden prejudice against conservatives. On the other, he was punished extremely quickly and with no chance of redemption. The debate further fueled divisions in the country. And Caroline? Without having to say a word, she became a symbol of resistance for those who felt silenced by the mainstream media. Her simple retweet of the video with a thoughtful emoji was interpreted in many ways: irony, sarcasm, or simply a reflection on the power of words. What is undeniable is that this moment was not just Reed's breakdown, but a brutal reminder of how the rules of the game have changed. Reed did not remain silent. Days later, he published a video stating that he had been silenced for telling the truth, and launched his own independent program, where he promised to speak without censorship. Meanwhile, Caroline continued her career, always remembered as the woman who brought down one of the biggest names in television. But the controversy went beyond Caroline and Reed. It raised questions about freedom of expression, responsibility in the media, and the power of social media. The truth is that this episode left a mark on the way we consume information. Do we live in a society today where no one can make a mistake without being erased? Or are we finally demanding accountability from those who shape public opinion? Reed's case proves that traditional media no longer has a monopoly on narrative. Now, each of us has power in our hands, and a simple click can define the fate of any public figure. In the end, perhaps the real winner of this debate was not Caroline or Reed, but rather the internet, which showed, once again, its strength. And you, which side are you on? Was it justice or censorship? Leave your opinion in the comments and subscribe for more thought-provoking stories.